Welcome to the explainer. You know that moment of hesitation when you're not sure if you should say, I'll meet you on Friday or at Friday? Well, if you've been there, you're in the right place. Today, we're going to clear all that up and turn that guesswork into total confidence.
Okay, let's just dive right in with a super common problem. You want to make a simple plan, but do you say at, on, or in? I mean, these tiny words can feel so random, but trust me, there's a logic to it. And getting it right is the difference between showing up on time and, well, not. So how can one little word change everything? Let's break it down.
So to get to the bottom of this, we're going to follow a really clear path. We're going to ask 3 simple questions. First, when did it happen? Second, for how long? And third, how often? After we've got those down, we'll see how to put it all together, giving you what I call time precision, your new superpower.
First up, let's tackle the biggest piece of the puzzle, just answering the question, when? This is all about pinpointing a specific moment, and our main tools for the job are 3 little words, at, on, and in.
I want you to think of at like hitting the bullseye on a dartboard. It's for the most precise, specific points in time. So we use it for clock times, like at 6 o'clock, for meal times, like at lunchtime, and even for general points, like at night, or holidays, like at Christmas. It's sharp, it's exact.
Okay, so moving out from the bullseye, we get to on. Think of on as the next ring out on that dartboard. It's a little broader, and we use it for specific days and dates. So you'd say on Monday or on May 1st. You can even get a bit more descriptive, like on a cold afternoon in January.
And that brings us to in, which is the widest, outermost ring of our time target. In is what we use for the longest, most general periods. Time frames that don't have a specific day attached. We're talking about parts of the day, like in the morning, entire months, like in August, whole years, like in 2024, or even centuries.
Now, here's where it gets a little tricky, the difference between in and during. Sometimes you can use either, right? I woke up in the night or during the night. But during has a special job. It really emphasizes the entire span of time. So when you say the shops were closed during August, you're making it clear they were closed for the whole month. It stresses the duration.
And hey, here's a pro tip for you. Sometimes the best preposition is no preposition at all. Seriously, with words like last, next, this, and every, you just drop the at, on, or in. We say next Thursday, not on next Thursday. It's just cleaner, simpler, and it's how people actually talk. All right, let's move on to our second big question. We figured out when something happens. Now, let's talk about how long it lasts. This is all about expressing duration. This slide nails a really common point of confusion, by versus until. Let's break it down. By is a hard deadline. It's a final moment. I need it back by 5 o'clock. Means 5 o'clock is the latest it can be. But until describes something that continues and then stops at a certain time. They're staying until next week. Means the action of staying goes on and on right up to that point. One is a deadline, the other is the end of a duration.
Okay, here's another pair that can trip people up. For versus during. Think of it this way. For measures how long something lasted. It answers the question, how long? So it rained for 3 hours. But during just puts an event inside a block of time. It answers when. If you say there was a storm during the night, it doesn't mean the storm lasted all night long, just that it happened at some point that night.
All right, we have covered when and for how long. So our final key question is how often? This is how we talk about habits, routines, and all those recurring events in our lives.
The easiest way to wrap your head around this is to picture a spectrum. On one end, you've got always, that's 100% of the time. And on the total opposite end, you've got never, 0%. Everything else just falls somewhere in between. So the crucial thing here is that the adverb you choose places an action at a very specific point on that spectrum. If you do something usually or often, you're way up near the top. Sometimes is sitting right there in the middle. And if you do it rarely or seldom, well, you're getting pretty darn close to never. These words give our stories so much more color and detail. So now we have all the pieces, right? We can answer when, how long, and how often. But what happens when you need to use them all in the same sentence? Well, there's a secret to combining them that'll make your English sound completely natural. Let's check out the right order. The standard order is actually pretty simple. You start with duration, how long, then comes frequency, how often, and you finish with when, at what point. Just remember DFW, duration, frequency, when. Easy. And here is a perfect example of how that DFW rule works in the wild. Listen to this sentence. He worked there for a month, every summer, in the 1980s. See how smooth that is? It just flows. You've got duration, for a month, then frequency, every summer, and finally when, in the 1980s. Following that simple rule makes even complex sentences sound easy.
So there you have it. We've cracked the code on how we talk about time. Let's do a super quick recap of what we've learned and why this is going to give you a real superpower in your conversations. If you only remember one thing from today, make it this 3-question toolkit. Seriously, anytime you're feeling unsure, just pause and ask yourself, am I talking about when, how long, or how often? That one simple habit will point you to the right word every single time. And this really does matter. As our source material wisely puts it, getting one of these tiny words wrong, like saying bye when you really mean until, can completely change the meaning of everything you're trying to say. Precision is clarity.
So, you see, mastering these rules isn't just about passing some grammar quiz. It's about gaining real control, precision, and power in how you communicate. It's about making sure your plans are clear, your stories make sense, and your message is never, ever lost. So now that you can control time with your words, what will you say?